What is up, down, and sideways, you absolutely glorious individuals? It's another epi of Liga and Lack. Eric and Mark here with you guys. We got our 2025 LTA address from Commissioner Mark Z and the reps from LTA South for the full crossover. And there were not groundbreaking updates like all the changes we had coming to 2024. Obviously, they kind of alluded to most of these changes, in terms of the format, the best of three going into best of five, interconference showdown, which I'm actually getting more and more hyped about, seeing this crossover content between them. I think the biggest W from this whole thing is the Twitch extension coming across all LTA platforms. Thank you, CB Lol.
And it's a big enough W that I think it can justify the whole transaction, the whole change to the LTA system. It's going to be that impactful is what I'm betting. A lot of people that haven't experienced it, haven't even seen it maybe, are going to experience when they get to check it out when the LTA gets kicked off on the 18th. I believe there's also going to be a show match alongside that opening day, and I'm assuming that's where you'll really get to see that first debut of it through Twitch and the LTA's channel. It's something that if you have experienced through the Brazilian streams before, and I think as well, this past Worlds Championship, they had it running through, you'll get to see it. And really, if you're from any traditional sports background, this is what you've dreamed the experience could be, watching sports at home, being able to pull up any stats, any interaction on the match, all these information at your fingertips right there in the game window. That is absolutely going to be a major win for the fan experience.
Yeah, and I think anyone that saw this during Worlds, when they watched games without it, it was like, oh, what a worse experience. So yeah, having it throughout the regular season and all of the LTA will be an absolute boon for viewers. The other kind of updates were the awards. This is the one that drew my eye. We're always talking about all pro and stuff, and how it's going to be played out. Mark C talked about it getting kind of watered down. If all of a sudden you're handing out 3 MVPs for these 3 different splits. We saw the LEC take the route of they just had an MVP for the year, and LTA kind of doing similar to that. We're going to have an America's League MVP after split 3, which I guess you'll be taking from both LTA North and South. You're going to have an MVP solely for split 2 for both conferences, as well as your all-pro, the coaching staff, and you also have Rookie of the Year after split 3, and then most fearless player of the split for split 1, which is purely just who picked the most unique champions. There's no opinions about it. It's just raw numbers.
And I'm waiting on that one. That one's the one that I'm very excited about, because I want to see, is it going to be a player that's simply running the numbers, running it through, trying everything, whatever, or does it actually end up being someone that, yes, is doing that type of thing, but you're seeing the result of it's because the accumulated chance of running through all these different things week in, week out, what you're prepared for, all these things, they've got the edge running through all the different champions through Fearless. I can't wait to see that award get awarded through. I think this was an interesting angle to approach that issue that we have seen in the LEC, where it does become a diminishing value of these awards, of this recognition, just because it's happening so much more frequently than it does in any other league due to the structure. I think that might change, given that everybody is on a similar type of structure now and having to adjust to it. But I think that this was a very proactive and interesting choice for the LTA to go about the award structure.
And the historical impact obviously being the biggest reasoning behind this. The LEC, the MVP awards are fine, but it's been the titles. All of a sudden, G2 has like 3 times as many titles as everyone else because they're racking up 3 to 4 a year. It's going to change in 2025 over there in Europe, but damage kind of already done at that point. Other bit of announcement kind of off the rift was this merch that they're going to be adding split by split. Twitch subscriptions and now the merch. Obviously, Riot seeing dollar signs, but I like the idea of the merch being split up by, split to split different themes. You're going to focus on kind of NA versus South America, different kind of merch, and then specifically within the conference, the teams, and then kind of you're heading toward Worlds. I like it being broken up like that.
think it's a very fresh approach to doing your merchandise in that type of way. And again, letting that communication come through to the fan base saying, hey, this is what we're going through. And maybe you go, wave one isn't my vibe, isn't my jam, what I'm looking for. I just want something more like this. You can wait for wave two, something like that. And having that communication is the other point I really wanted to talk about with this one. Maybe it's not the same as the other addresses that we've had from Mark Z, where he's come through and there's more impactful, more major things to actually talk and work through, which of course, no shortage of with the LTA, but we've had a lot of other addresses, a lot of other information and documents come out talking about this change and going through what's going to happen. So to get this one where it's more so just a healthy check-in and conversation with the commissioner of the league and him sharing some of these things and checking back with the fan base, I think is again a wonderful and very healthy sign for the LTA.
The other thing that kind of stood out for me through all this is it's relatively short. The schedule for this first split, it's basically just 5 weeks for the regular season. It's again kind of like the world's playing stage. You win 2 best of 3s, you get to the next round. You lose 2 best of 3s, you are eliminated. And then we get this 8-team bracket that will throw down over in Sao Paulo for the LTA South hosting the first one. But the entire first split is not even a month. It's January 25th to February 23rd. You'll be done playoffs, and then this first stand international event is March 10th. It's going to kick off. So you already have like 2 full weeks off, and you've only been playing for a month.
It's going to be something that I think a lot of the regions around the world are going to come to that same conclusion of realizing the issue that the LEC has kind of run through going in this 3-split format, where sometimes, depending on how you're formatting, what your postseason, what whatever's going to work out from the main regular season round robin part of this spring split, you don't really end up with that much of a runway room. You don't have all this time in these games. And sometimes being, condensed like that is going to be a strength, and sometimes it's absolutely going to be at the detriment. And I think for a lot of these leagues, finding that sweet spot is going to be what about this first experience into these type of realms, unlike the LEC, is going to be about.
And all these other major regions are going to be paying attention to their respective other major regions and the PCS New Look PCS. They're all going to be paying attention, seeing what worked with their league. Maybe it can work to ours, or what didn't work. They're all going to be taking notes amongst, which means this format is only going to get retooled and better as the years go on. Did have some LPL action to get through. A little bit of Group D. RNG versus FPX. Milky Way versus his former squad. Everyone's saw RNG at Demacia Cup and we're saying this team's not going to win a single game all year. But that's why we don't take the Demacia Cup too seriously. It takes 4 games, but RNG comes away with the win. Milky Way did it early in this series, and it was Tang Yuan who picks up MVP in the last 2 games and did it in pretty clean fashion, did that mid laner.
It's going to take a lot more than this to start building up that hype and excitement.
They're the best team in the LPL. That's it. Hands down.
On day 2, yes, absolutely. Day 3, excuse me, for the LPL, the best team right now. RNG. Milky Ways gives us some of that performance that we have, of course, been very excited about and talking about him. And part of the reason why we were so upset about the situation he was going to be on RNG. But we see maybe that was a little bit too early, because again, Mr. Tang Yun in the mid lane makes some healthy contributions for this team. So it's not just the 1 check mark for what Milky Ways is doing. You're getting the extra 1, maybe a double up on it for Mr. Tang Yun, what he was doing the majority of this series.
And, FPX, obviously not a exactly powerhouse squad heading into this year. A lot of young talent with Sheer coming in as that de facto starter. Care kind of the only veteran, really, on this lineup. So there's not much expectation there, but I think a little bit of surprise with how, I don't even want to say good, much better than anticipated RNG looked here. And listen, Tang Yuan's a guy we've been talking about for, I feel like since even Xiaohu was on RNG. That's when the hype started coming that, okay, this young guy might be the next era of mid laner for RNG. There's been some memes about him being a scrim god, but it's never really translated to that main stage. But it's only a single series, but I'm holding out hope that he lives up to some of this hype.
It might be only a single, game and match here, but you got to remember, every journey starts with a single step. This could be it for Mr. Tang Yun right here. And it's been a long journey, a long road so far without covering much distance and climbing up that mountain. So getting that first step must feel good for him. And I think, again, for RNG, all the expectations that have been so negative about this team for so long now, to get a good start, that right step start for the year, good for them.
And, something to take into account with this new LPL format here is, yes, it's only a single series, but these are all best of fives out the gate. It's not just a best of three. Someone gets 2-0, you're out in 2 hours. Even going to 4 games, like you're playing 2 best of threes essentially on any given day. So yes, even though it's a single series very early, it feels like there's a lot more information you can take from these series when there's so many more games.
Yes, and it's still going to be one of those ones where you have to have a couple in your hand to be able to sift through and really assess what type of weight these games are going to carry. But you're right, having them as these best of 5 series, having that in your pocket and knowing what you've gone through, getting to look through the draft, the numbers, all these type of things, it will add up all as we're going through these ones where it will be more meaningful, each and individual series compared to our history before.
Next time we're talking on the show, not only will we have LPL to talk about, but the LCK going to kick off, even though it's only just the defending champions from the Kespa Cup, not the world champions. Bro and DRX kicking things off, but we will have multiple major regions ongoing. Bless the League of Legends gods to have games back in full swing. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you, absolutely beautiful individuals. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you on that flippity flip.